How to get 3 to 5 extra listings at the yearly Super Bowl of expireds, right? Super Bowl of expireds. Funny enough, speaking of AI, this image was generated by DALL-E, by the AI image generator. So it's not human made, but it's, as you can see, it's an NFL Super Bowl field, right? And this has been called it's a very specific time of the year, right? It's the first 2 weeks of January. I'll cover more about that in a second. Um, it's it's been dubbed the Black Friday or the Super Bowl of expireds. Okay, but before we dive into that, let me just quickly tell you a little bit who I am, why you should listen to me. I promise I won't take too long. So my name is Greg Vasil. Um, I am a Toronto, Canada-based digital marketer. Um, I have been doing some form of digital marketing for about 7 or 8 years now. I ran my first ad in 2015, and I've been working in the real estate niche for the past 3 years with buyer agents, seller agents, fix and flippers, wholesalers. So my job is to get you guys leads. Okay. Now today's a little bit different than the usual, right? Than my usual presentation that I would show you. But yeah, so that's my full-time job. I founded 2 companies. One of them is called Six Figure Systems. So this is the education-based company. And I founded a CRM software for realtors called ZenLead, which is just a crazy, crazy software that can do a lot of the heavy lifting for you. All right. So I truly believe, and my mission is to help liberate you guys, realtors, from the lead generation rat race, right? When you were studying to be a realtor, when you were doing your exam, when you're like, I've watched Selling Sunset, right? Or Selling Florida. Um, I think I can do this, right? Honey, I can do this, right? Right. Nobody told you that you're going to have to become pretty much a marketer as well, right? To generate, to prospect, to do the cold calling, to do the outreach, to knock on doors, right? That part everybody omits, but that's such an important part of any small business, right? So that's why I kind of started this six-figure real estate lead system where I help realtors and agents generate leads online. Okay, and I'll quickly tell you how I do this. So I do this through paid ads. If anybody tells you that paid ads don't work, they're full of it. Okay, because paid ads work is just a matter whether you can make it work for you. Okay, and a lot of people when they get started, they don't know how, or they try it once, they put a bunch of money, they lose a bunch of money, they don't get any leads, and then they believe that paid ads don't work. Okay, but that's what I do every day in, day out for my clients. So we run an ad like this. So here's a buyer lead campaign, for example. It has to be homes in the area. Okay. We collect their information through the lead form. All right. And then we follow up with the lead. So here's an example of a buyer lead ad. Here's an example of a seller lead ad. Now, today's not about ads. Today's not about paid ads. I'm just showing you what I do usually. Okay. So for a seller, for example, like this, for a listing ad, like if a client tells me, hey, Greg, I have a listing coming up. Can we run an ad for that? Absolutely. Listings are great. Okay. And here's an example of an open house ad. Now, an ad is superior to just posting on your page because you can reach a lot more people. You can target, for example, all of people in Atlanta, right? All like 2 million, 3 million people can see your ad and you can pay like $10 a day, let's just say. That's what usually my clients pay. You don't have to have a crazy budget. So here's some results that I get. So for example, here we had 15 leads come in. These are buyer leads at $3.41 a lead. Okay. Here we had 10 leads come in at $2.96 a lead. 5 leads at under $2, 5 leads for $1.80, 13 leads for $3.11. Now, really quick in the chat, can you just drop me like, is that a good cost per lead? Right? Compared to what you get on Zillow, from what I understand, Zillow Flex, Zillow Premier, they're like $300, $400 leads, and they're not guaranteed to pan out. Would you like to get like $2 leads? Well, like that means you could get 100, 200 leads a month. You could definitely close some deals with that, right? So I'm just quickly showing you what I do. So here's more examples. So there's 400 leads at $5.16. Um, so it really depends on the market. Some markets are a little more expensive. So here we had 657. As long as I keep it under $7, under $10, I'm happy and the client is happy, right? 475, 478. Um, and here's some more. Sometimes you get lucky, you get like a dollar lead, dollar per lead cost, right? 38 cents per lead, 47 cents a lead. So it really varies, but there's no reason why you should be paying that much money for leads. And if anybody tells you have to pay over 15, $20 per lead, you really don't have to. And you can see the proof why. Here's another example. This client kept spending and spending and spending. Of course, not from the beginning, but over months, over time, they spent $10,000 and they got almost 2,000 leads at 524 a lead. This was for a large brokerage, so they split the leads between them, right? So that's what I do. I generate leads. Then we put them in the system, the CRM that I told you, which is called ZenLead, and the ZenLead follows up. We have an automated follow-up that we just send them SMS, emails, we call them, right? So there's a lot going on. So a lot of agents drop the ball, first of all, generating the lead. They don't know how to generate the lead, but then they don't know how to convert the lead, right? Convert the lead into an appointment. So that's what we do. Now, if you're here today, you most likely got like 4 of my messages on the phone, right? You got some of my emails. Maybe some of you felt like, oh man, this guy's messaging me again. What does he want? But you're here, right? That's what's important. So I got you here. So it works, right? Follow up works. You have to like SMS messages, people, something like 10% of people check their emails, but like 50% check actual messages on their phone, right? So it definitely works, right? So we funnel them into the software. We take them into the pipeline from new lead to responded to booked appointment to closed appointment, right? And we do this with automated follow-up. And if you're wondering how the follow-up sequence looks like, maybe you are, maybe you're not. We have a 60-day sequence. So every day we send them an email, SMS, call. Some days we don't send them an email or we don't call them, right? So it depends on the day. Now, recently I added something really awesome to the system. I actually hired a team that calls your leads. So you guys, realtors, that's what one of my pet peeves. You don't like calling your leads. You don't like calling people, or you call once, the person doesn't pick up. Oh, they're bad leads, right? I love you to death, but right, that's human nature. We don't like to call. I don't like to cold call people either, right? Or I don't like to call leads necessarily. So I hired my own in-house team that actually. So now we generate the lead, right? We follow up with them in the system, and we actually call them and book appointments for the realtor. It's really groundbreaking stuff because now it's instead of like calling 100 leads. Imagine you have 100 leads come in a month. You got to call each one like 3-5 times until they pick up. So you have to like call 10 people a day. That's a lot, right? But now all of a sudden, my team calls them, my team qualifies them. We have a script, right? To find out what's their price point, what's their motivation, what's their timeline. Are they pre-qualified with the lender? What's their credit score? We get all that information, and then we just either do a live call transfer. We tell them we have an agent, a local agent in Atlanta on standby, ready to speak with you. Are you available right now? Right? If they say yes, we transfer to you. You pick up, we patch you, right? And if they say no, sorry, I got something going on, we book an appointment alternatively, right? So it's just like it improves show up rate, it improves, and then you're actually speaking to a qualified lead. How amazing is that, right? So that's what I do full time for my clients, such as you guys, right? So if we work together in the future and you're interested in doing some lead generation, this system will be implemented for you, right? It's really done for you and low touch on your end. All you have to do is just pick up the phone and speak to a qualified lead, not just a random prospect, right? So does this work? Absolutely. For example, Joanne got 80K in GCI in the last 5 months, right? I'm going to show you some testimonials. Here's Jeremy. Sold a listing in just 1 day, 12K in commission, right? But in no way am I implying that you're gonna get these results. These were results of my clients, right? So I'm just showing you for example purposes. Here's Chad, 2 homes under contract from running ads. So you definitely can see that this stuff works. Here's Tyrell, where he started getting a lead every 20 minutes, right? And closed 11 deals in 4 months. Here's another one. Here's Thomas from Indianapolis, 14K in commissions from $120 spent on ads. So this system works that I do full time. Okay. This is what I do for my clients full time. It works for newbies. It works for seasoned realtors. It worked for younger, older realtors. Here's Deborah, close 3 to 4 deals per month ongoing, right? From the system. Here's Jeremy again. So it's just really, really, really good results. I'm drowning you in testimonials to show you that this does work. Anybody that tells you, hey, paid ads or don't, or they're not good leads, um, is absolutely full of it, or they just haven't been able to make it work. All right. So wow, we're just zooming through it. It's been like 15 minutes and I'm already on topic. So today's topic, 3 to 5 extra listings at the Super Bowl of expires. Before I continue, how you guys doing? Is this what I just showed you? Do you have any questions? Is this kind of eye-opening to you? Did you know that there's people generating leads like that? Because I'm sure a lot of your brokerages are telling you, hey, go door knock, hey, cold call, hey, do this, do that. But sometimes people are like, yeah, but I'm running ads as well. Do you know that there's a whole kind of thing like this going on of like a Teams calling, of ads running, or is this something new? How do you feel about that? Can you drop me a little something in the chat before I continue? And just give me a second. Okay, great. So Nancy says there's a lot of companies like this. Yes, there's a lot of companies offering lead gen. What sets me apart? That's a good question. Phone calls aren't my strong suit, so this would help me. Excellent. I've known, and the cost has always been a deterrent to me. So I'd like to think what sets me apart is the full package. A lot of companies, which really is just probably some kid in a basement, runs an ad for you and then just hands you off the leads, and there's not much support after that, right? And a lot of people charge crazy amounts for that. I've been on calls with my competitors, and like I offer twice the value for half the cost, because I include the callers, I include the CRM, I include, so there's a lot of stuff but those are good questions. All right, so let's dive into today's topic: how to get 3 to 5 listings that doesn't involve running ads. All right, are you guys ready? Are you pumped? Let's get some thumbs up. Let's get going. All right, because if you're not, you're gonna fall asleep and then you're gonna miss potentially the best time of the year for this. All right, cool. Yes, Nancy, thank you. So awesome. So here's why 2024 will be huge, Kimberly. Thank you. For realtors. Okay, so there's gonna be 3 reasons why. And the first reason is the Fed will cut rates, right? One of the biggest reasons why buyers are on the sidelines for this whole year, 2023 has been just a mess, right? Is because the rates are so high that it doesn't make sense for savvy buyers or for people looking to upsize to make moves right now, right? But because the Fed has promised to cut the rates up to 6 times, right? So here we see a total of 6 cuts for the whole year, bringing it's already going down, right? It's already going down to some parts of the country are even under 7%, around 6%, right? We're going from the 8% mark, which is just crazy, right? So there's going to be 6 times that the Fed is going to cut rates, all right? The second reason, so buyers will make moves. All right. Buyers will make moves. The people that are on the sidelines will make moves. So, how many times have you heard somebody tell you, "Yeah, I want to move, but in 6 months or 12 months," right? That's their timeline is like a year. By the way, real quick nugget, golden nugget, you may want to write this down. If somebody tells you, if a buyer tells you, hey, I'm looking to move in 12 months, one quick way to overcome that objection is to tell them that, well, why do you think, why is that so? Why is this the case, right? A lot of people just take it at face value. Okay, sure, 12 months. Get back to me in 12 months, right? But if you dig a little deeper, you will find out and you ask them why. Very often, the reason why they think they have to wait 12 months is because they think they need a 20% or higher down payment. They're saving money for a down payment. So they think they need that, let's say 40K, 50K down payment, and they just don't have that. But if you find that out, you can explain to them that, hey, you actually, there's programs, there's lenders that you can buy for 3% down payment, and I can connect you to a lender. If you provide that education and that value, all of a sudden their 12-month timeline can drastically reduce to 3 months and under. Okay, so that's just a little golden nugget to put in the back pocket. Okay, if they tell you they have a massive timeline, you can ask them why, and if it's they think they have to save for that down payment, you can tell them that perhaps they're missing some information. So buyers will definitely make moves, okay? And inventory will increase as buyers move, right? They have a lot of them have something to sell unless they're first-time home buyers. Does that make sense? So inventory will increase, all right? As rates go down, an influx of buyers will buy new homes, often putting their old property for sale, thus increasing overall inventory. Is this cool or what? So 2024 will be a huge year, all right? Definitely better than last year, all right? Plus, this is not even mentioned here, a lot of people are exiting the industry as well. So competition between realtors will go down. There's always people entering and exiting, but especially after last year, a lot of people are like, damn, I need a new job, right? Or I need a part-time job, or I can't do this full time. Therefore, I can't commit all of these resources like my time and my money to this. So that's good news for you. If you're staying, you can outbeat these guys that are quitting, right? So March through June of 2024, usually that's right, like spring and summer are the peak times, but especially March through June 2024 is going to be big for real estate activity. Okay. It's going to be huge. The question is, are you going to be ready? So, in order for you to have a good March, you have to have a good February, January, and even December. Okay. And even December. So, the question is, will this time be big for you? And you have to plan ahead. Okay. You have to plan ahead. So, if you want to partake in the, I called it March Madness, like the basketball tournament, right? But like, you have to start filling your pipeline. It's all about your pipeline right now in Q4 of 2023, which is almost done, and Q1 of 2024. Right? Does that make sense? Right? Everybody knows this, but not a lot of people are doing it because the average realtor, right? Let's face it, takes their foot off the gas, slows down, and hibernates with family from pretty much Thanksgiving, right? From the end of November to middle of January. Okay. Because their mindset is how anybody can you drop in the chat? Is that how you guys are? Or is that anybody like thinks like that? Like the end of the year is like time to slow down and to kind of because the market's not active anyway, so I might as well. All right, James, F that. Thank you. Straight up. All right, cool. That's right. I was listening to this older gentleman, older realtor. This guy's got to be 80, over 80, but he's just like full of life. Um, and he's like, while the average realtor slows down during these months, I speed up because I have 40 years of experience. And I know that this time, especially from November to January, that's gonna kind of set the bar for my next year, pretty much. Is it gonna be successful or not? The pipeline I fill during these months is gonna dictate the sales I'm gonna get and the listings I'm gonna get in the new year. Okay. Now, I mean, it's December 21st, so we can't really go back in time and improve our November, but we can definitely get this last week and the first 2 weeks of January off to a rocking start, right? So don't be the average realtor because the average realtor, 75%, that's higher than the average, close less than 5 transactions per year, right? And if your commission is 10K, you're making less than 50K a year, which is still okay. Let's say you're getting 5K, but so 75, but probably about half of realtors are closing one deal or less, especially new ones, right? I'm not going to ask you to put in the chat how many deals you closed last year. It doesn't matter, right? But just know that the numbers, the statistics are kind of stacked against you, right? And even somebody told me that 85% of newbies fail in their first year or something like that. I don't want to quote that. I don't want to discourage you because it's all in your hands, right? With a little bit of information, a little bit of knowledge, and a lot of action, you can change the statistic to be that 25%. So that means that 25%, right? Look at that. They're killing it between 5 and 10 deals a year, right? So why not be the 25%? Why be the lower end of the spectrum, right? So you should always strive to aim higher. All right. So yeah. So how can you ensure that you have an above average 2024? Now, there's a lot of strategies for lead generation, including paid ads, but there's door knocking, cold calling. They all work, right? They all work. Some of them work better. Some of them take longer. Some of them they require you. I like to divide strategies between low leverage and high leverage activities. So door knocking, cold calling would be or especially door knocking, right, would be a lower leverage activity because you can only knock on one door at one time, right? Whereas, running an ad is a high leverage activity because you pay a little bit of money, a lot of people see it, and you get leads when you're sleeping. Right? When you're knocking on that door, you can't be doing anything else, right? So I'm not saying it doesn't work. You should be doing as many things as you can, but just understand that some things yield a higher leverage, meaning a lower output can give you like 20%, right? You know, the 80-20 Pareto principle. I'm getting into like Alex Hormozy territory. 20% of your actions can bring you 80% of outcomes, which is what you want, right? That's a high leverage activity. So how can you ensure? So expired listings have joined the chat. Okay, expired listings. All right, so here is a little bit about expired listing, the pros and cons. Everything has pros and cons, right? So so what are expired listings, first of all? So expireds, right? You know this, are seller leads that they wanted to sell their home. They hired an agent, right? They signed that contract. Let's say 3 to 6 months is the standard, right? Could be like a longer contract, the listing contract. They signed it, but they were unable, them or the agent were unable to sell that home in the specified amount of time, right? In the specified amount of time. So what happens then? Well, after that expires, that time frame expires, they can either relist with the same agent, which the majority of them don't, right? Because they're disappointed, or they can relist with a new agent. All right. So as you can see, 50% or more of expires relist with another agent because they believe the agent did something wrong. They didn't do enough to market their home, right? So they are kind of disappointed, but they have the highest intent to sell. Okay, out of all seller leads, because they already wanted to sell, they already signed something, they already tried to sell, but they couldn't, right? So that's why they are, I would say, one of the most valuable seller leads. If we could divide leads into buyer, seller, et cetera, right? And it's sellers themselves, we can say, okay, there's FSBOs, right, for sale by owners. There's FRBOs for rent. There's expireds. There's geo. Expireds would be one of the higher intent ones because they already wanted to sell. All right, does that make sense? They wanted to sell their home earlier, but they couldn't. Something happened. Okay, so they couldn't. Most of them still want to sell their home. Okay, they may have changed, some may have changed their mind, right? But most of them still want to sell their home because usually they want to move. They want to move to somewhere else, right? And they can be easily found with the right tools. They can be easily found with the right tools. You don't have to cold call a neighborhood just hoping, hey, you want to sell your home? You want to sell your home? You want to sell your home? Did you fail? Are you expired? You don't have to do that, right? Because there's tools, and I'm going to show you these tools that you can use to speed up the process. All right. And 50% of expires, like I said, want to relist with another agent. All right. So these are the pros of expires. So there's a few more statistics. Only 28% will relist with the current agent, right? 35% will leave their home off the market for a month or more, right? They may take a break. They're like, okay, well, we tried, right? Uh, but most of these will relist with another agent within 90 days. Okay. So it may not be guaranteed that right away they want to sell with you, but they're looking to sell, right? So it may take them a little bit longer. 37% will relist with a new agent within 30 days, right? So the statistic that I told you, 50% will relist in general, whenever, right? But 30% within 30 days. That's like, right? If somebody gave you 30% odds to bet on something in the casino or the lottery, like you would take those odds. I would. Hell yeah, right? That's almost half. So that's really cool, I think. Okay, the cons. So what are the cons? What are the bad parts, right? So the other side of the coin. So they may be a little bit more difficult to work with because they may blame the previous agent for the home not selling, right? And that's the truth of the matter. Nobody likes to blame themselves, right? They're always putting the blame on somebody else. Oh, it was the agent's fault, right? They didn't advertise enough. They didn't do enough. They didn't have enough showings, right? Um very seldom do they want to blame themselves, right? Which usually right? If it's their fault, they probably had an outrageous price in mind to begin with. And the agent was too polite to tell them no. So they went for this higher price and they fell flat on their face because some sellers are still thinking that they're in 2020, right? And it's a seller's market and it's COVID and that they can get any price for their home and they don't see the reality that it's a buy, well, like a sideways market, but it was a buyer's market slash sideways market kind of, right? But some of them are still, so you have to, like, it's up to you, the listing agent, to educate them as well, right? While still keeping your job. So they're a little bit, it could be their fault why it didn't sell. Um, so they may be a little slightly more difficult than to deal with, right? Because they failed, because they have these high expectations than other sellers, or not, right? Or not. They could have been humbled by the experience. They could have been like any sane person, rational person would have been like, okay, well, I wanted, 50K over asking or whatever. My asking was 100K over the market price in the area. I learned my lesson. It didn't sell, so let me reduce it, right? So it depends on the individual, right? The other downside is they are usually when so every day in the MLS, there's like, let's just say on a given day on a decent sized market, there's like 10 to 30 expires that just come on the MLS every day. Okay, MLS every day. Do not call them from the MLS. Do not contact them. I'll tell you why in a second. That's a big no-no. Okay. But these guys can be on any given day, 10 other agents can be calling the same lead in the area and be like, excuse me, sir, are you still trying to sell your home? Still trying to. So it could be a little more saturated, right? Except for this window of time when it's just crazy and there's just not enough agents to call these guys, okay? Which I will tell you in a second. So these are the cons. And then you may have to interview for the job, right? You have to treat it like a job interview. You have to treat it like you are in competition with perhaps 5 other agents and only one of you is going to get that listing, right? So you have to treat it, it's not a gimme, right? It's not a you show up and you conquer by default. You show up and you have to, like, put your skills to the test and you have to interview for the job. So any quick questions at this point about the pros or cons of expireds before we continue? Super quick, if anybody has any. I'm probably gonna address it in the upcoming slides, but if you got something you want to drop. Anybody? Everybody good? Can you give me a thumbs up? Is this helpful? Is this like, are you learning something cool, something new? Or like, give me a little. So Roxana, you raised your hand, but unfortunately in the webinar you can't speak. I can't unmute you, so you have to type in your in the chat. Drop it in the chat, webinar chat. All right. Not the Q&A. I'm not checking the Q&A, but the actual chat. All right, Rich, give me a thumbs up. All right, I'm gonna keep going. So that's the usually expireds, right? Usually expireds. But now in January, okay, the biggest expired listings day of the year is December 31st. Okay, that's going to be when the biggest day that a lot of these contracts, these listings contracts, the term is set to December 31st by default. So let's say they listed in June, they put 6 months. December 31st is going to be the end date. That's why. That is why. That is the main reason that I need you to take away from this. Why is this so? Why is January going to be the biggest one? Because a lot of them, especially that listed in the summer and couldn't sell, they put the date as December 31st. Okay. So that January 1st is going to be one of the most important days of the year. Okay. I cannot stress this enough. For the real estate agent, AKA you, who wants to get ahead of the competition. Okay. If you treat these 2 weeks correctly, the first 2 weeks of January, you're going to set yourself up to win in March, April, May, June, and so forth and so on, right? You may not even need any other lead generation. I'm putting myself out of it. You may not need actual paid ads if you do this right, okay? So December 31st, there's going to be a lot of them expire. So January 1st is going to be one of the most important days. So you can choose to be hungover with the thing goes in your mouth still in the morning, be like, oh God, or bright and early, you could be hitting those expired listings, right? You could be hitting those expired listings. Usually, like I said, they saturate pretty quickly. There's 10 other agents calling them before you even talk to them, right? And when you talk to them, they're like, oh, another one, you know? But in this window, January 1st to the 15th, the first 2 weeks of January, there will be more expireds than there are agents to call them. I repeat, okay, I'm slowing down. There will be more expired listings coming onto the MLS than there are agents to call them, even if they're in the same area, okay? Especially if it's a big metro city like Atlanta, right? Doesn't matter if there's 20 agents, even if they're all on the same team, on your team, you can still get a piece of the pie. All right. So when on a regular day there are 10 to 30 new expireds coming on the market, I mean, there's like in June, there's a few days which are more peak, right? But these 2 weeks in January, there's going to be 100 to 300. So it's going to be 10x the amount of listings coming on to the MLS, depending on the region, on the market, on the different MLS, um, per day. Per day. So like January 1st, let's say 100 to 300. January 2nd, there will be like 120. January 3rd, there'll be like 200. So every single day. Okay. Not just during these 2 weeks, but every single day. So it's just a Black Friday, a bonanza, a Super Bowl truly of expired listings. Okay. This guy said the unofficial record, right? This is a friend of mine that does the, he's a realtor himself and he trains other realtors. He set 19 listing appointments in a single day. In a single day, 19 listing appointments. Now, mind you, a listing appointment, you still have to win it. You have to, it's not a guaranteed listing, but if you're, you get 1 out of 3 or 1 out of 2, depending on your, your batting average. He set 19 listing appointments in a single day from calling expired weeks. um, I think it was January 1st. He was. And he was in Mexico. He wasn't even in the States. He was vacationing in Mexico. He had his headset. He's like, I turned on my laptop. It was 8 a.m. Right. He made sure that the time zones lined up. It was like 9 a.m. in his local time zone. I think he's based in Seattle, I think is his area. And he just cranked out like 3 hours while having his coffee and breakfast and got 19 listing appointments. How amazing is that? Would you like 19 listing appointments? Anybody in one day? And I mean, okay, let's say a third of these to be conservative, result into actual listings, signed listings. That would be like what, if my math is right, like six, something like if 18 divided by 3 is 6, right? 19 is close enough. 6 listings in a day? Are you kidding me? Yes, yes, yes. Okay, I see a lot of yeses. Sandy, Ronnie, Eman, or Iman, Nyala. Yeah, that would be great. That would be great. That would be great. Unless you're like, because I've heard like some people are like, oh, my market, I have listings, but I don't have any buyers. That could be the case, right? But again, because 2024 will be different, you will find buyers. Buyers will make moves. So you need those listings. You want those listings. Okay. So that's pretty much kind of just the info behind it, but let me teach you the strategy and the tactics. Okay, how to actually execute, right? How to be like Gustavo here and get 19 in a single day from Mexico while on vacation. All right, so you must prepare 1 week in advance. Okay, so this is what Gustavo said: is that if you think you're going to just show up on January 1st and like open your laptop and then get started, you're too late. You have to get started a week early. So you have to prepare. Good thing there's a whole week next week, right? I mean, you take Christmas, you take, let's say, Boxing Day off, whatever, you hang out with family, but you have Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and the weekend, right, kind of to prep. So it's doable. You can start prepping today and tomorrow as well, right? But you have to be so that on January 1st, you sit down ready to execute, right? Not just ready to be ready, right? So before I share my steps, are you guys ready? Do you want to know the actual strategy and the tactics, right? The strategy is like the big picture and the tactics. Well, this is the strategy. This is the big picture. I'm going to share now the tactics, the step-by-step execution plan. Hell yeah, Nancy. Terry, yes. All right. Anybody else? Gimme, yes, yes. Okay, cool. I love doing this live. I love it. I love the participation. Thank you so much for participating. Makes my job better. And yeah. Yes, Sandy. All right. Yes. Let's do it. So here are the 4 steps to winning over expired. So if you're taking notes, take This is super quick. So number one, you got to find them, right? You got to find them online. Number two is you got to call them. Okay. So there is a calling component associated with it. Okay. It's not like calling random people. It's not like circle prospecting or calling geo leads in your farming area. Hello, sir. Do you have a home to buy or sell? This is specific. You know they want to sell. You know they couldn't. You're just calling them to ask, are you still looking to sell? Right. So it's different, right? It is calling, it is cold calling because you never met them or you never talked to them before, but it's like targeted cold calling because you know what they want. And you can just, you're sure that you can help them get there. So you got to find them, you got to contact them, you got to schedule an in-person listing appointment. So over the phone, you got to get your foot in the door, you got to talk to them and get them to invite you, right? And then you got to come prepared with a listing presentation. All right. So I'm going to talk to you mostly about the first two. I am going to touch on 3 and 4, but I think your brokerage, your team leader, you as a realtor, you should like 3 and 4 should be your thing, right? You should know that you need a listing presentation, how you do it. I don't know if you use if you bring a laptop, if you have an iPad, that's your thing, right? I will touch on it, but I'm going to touch on 1 and 4, 1 and 2 mostly. All right. Cool. Let's get going. So step 1, right? I broke it up into 4 steps. It's super easy, 4 steps. Finding expired leads online. How do you find them online, right? So here is how not to do it. And that is to go into your MLS to filter for expireds and to call them from your MLS. I just found this out recently from somebody that did it and got fined, okay? That you're not allowed to contact sellers, seller leads, seller info, and call them from the MLS, okay? So you may want to check with your specific region, with your specific MLS and your specific market. I'm not a lawyer, right? Caveat. But I would like you to err on the side of caution, meaning that it's better not to do it than to do it and get punished. I don't want you to do it through your MLS, okay? Because so the guy that did it, he got fined $500, slap on the wrist, not a big deal, but he learned his lesson. He's never going to do it again, okay? So do not use your own MLS, okay? You can do it, but just not through your MLS. Does that make sense? All right. And the way you do this and can do this legally, right, is to use third-party software like Vulcan X, Vulcan 7, Red X, Mojo, and there's a few more. Espresso Agent, there's a lot, right? They're popping up all the time. Now, just a little bad news for my Canadian fellow friends. In Canada, this is a little bit different, and it's like from what I understand, you can't just go and contact by law. You can't contact expires. In the US, you can do this all day as long as you're not doing it from your MLS. In Canada, you can't really do it. So from now on, what I'm talking about, these tools and these techniques, they're for US based realtors, which the majority of you today are. I work with both, right? Because they're very similar markets, but this strategy is for US based, right? If you're asking, does this work in the US? This specifically works in the US, okay? Nancy, I know RedX and heard of Mojo. Awesome. That's good. All right. So I'm going to show you these tools and why you can use them and how you can use them. So third-party software examples. So for example, here's a screenshot of one of them, okay? You literally can see, right? You can see the lead's name, address, email, kind of like the MLS, right? But you could filter them out by expired. You see how these are expired, these are active, these are FSBO. You can filter out by expired. So you could do a search specifically for expired leads, right? So that's what you want to do. And on any given day, there can be 10 new ones. You can also, they give you like 90 days, I think, when you use this. You can go for old ones, right? But in these 2 weeks, there's going to be like 100 to 300 a day coming on the, sorry, not the MLS, right? That's a no-no, on the software. So you can look them up. Okay. Like you don't need to go back in time. You can just January 1st, you can be doing January 1st expires. There will be enough, right? If you get through all 300, let's say, then you can go back and look for December 31st, right? So which tools should you use? So, okay, so I'm not affiliated with any of them. I don't care which one you use. I'm not getting paid for any of even this presentation or any of these tools, right? I'm just doing this to educate. So again, I have no skin in the game. Ideally, I would like you to use the one that's the cheapest one, right? They all work. They all have good data and bad data. Some people say, oh, Vulcan 7 is the best one because it has all the accurate data. Yeah, for some markets, for some listings, but for some it doesn't, right? So it's a mixed bag for all of them. Vulcan 7 is the most popular one. Everybody's heard of it. There's a lot of YouTube coaches, they want you to use their affiliate link, so they get a commission when you use it. It's great. Sure, it's $350 a month. Okay, it's steep, right? You only need for 1 month, right? You only need it for 2 weeks actually, but in reality, one. So you don't want to pay $350. I wouldn't want you to pay $350. Red X is a little bit cheaper. I think they do like $250, and a part of this is that $150 setup fee, this one-time setup fee. Okay. So what I recommend to you, if you're going to do this, if you're serious about this and you want to fill your pipeline, I recommend for you to use Mojo, right? Which is mojosells.com, mojosells.com. All right. And they charge $50 for the leads, okay, a month. So you can just get that. And then the optional add-on is $100 for the dialer. Okay. And I'll explain in a sec why you need it or why you don't need it. This is optional. So you could get away paying $50 and getting those leads. That's they charge 50 for the leads. Okay. And then you could hammer them for 2 weeks or more, right? You get a whole month. So when you get like something like Mojo, right? For example, you would, oops, I thought I froze for a second. Something like Mojo. Can you guys hear me? Everybody good? That's my biggest fear, is like my tech freezing while I'm on call or dropping off. So when you're, for example, Mojo, they're gonna ask you what city or what zip code you want, right? So you choose cities, zip codes. You can filter by DNC, do not call, right, list, right? So if you don't want any DNCs, I think most people ignore the DNC because you're just one agent. So that's up to you. I don't have any preference either way, but you choose your zip code, your farming area. You choose whichever area you want, right? And then you have access to leads like this. Okay, so this is inside of Mojo. So this is a screenshot inside of Mojo. So they're blurring out the name, the address, and then you have the phone number. Okay, now you can, at this point, you don't need anything else. You can open your phone, right? And you can just literally, because you're going to see the phone number here, you can type it into your phone, right? You could type the number and you could call, right? Or you could hit this green button called the power dialer and just call them right from there. So it's just going to call the first one. If they don't pick up, it's going to call the second one, third one, fourth one. It's just much, much faster that way. So I'm giving you two options to do it, right? So it's up to you whether you want to do it manually through your phone or if you want to do it through the power dialer, which is much faster, right? So they'll give you a list of leads like this every day, hundreds of leads, right? That come onto the system. And this syncs to the MLS, right? So it's coming from the MLS, but you're not searching the MLS, right? So you're compliant by doing it through a third-party software. And if you click on any individual lead, they will tell you their name, like here, David England. They will tell you the information about the home. So you could actually have some ammo for your arsenal when you call them to be like, hey, I heard, okay, this is an awesome home in San Marcos, California, blah, 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 open floor. Wow, it didn't sell with an open floor plan. Oh my God, like, let me help you. Their phone number, right? So all the information is there when you get these leads. Okay. So step 2, actually calling them. If you have any questions, drop it in the chat. I'm just going to keep going, and then I might, because I think I'll answer most questions anyways, but in the next few slides. So calling the expires. So when, for example, you're on the Mojo website, I'm not going to open the website right now. First of all, they're going to ask you, this is their lead store. Okay. So they're going to ask you, what kind of leads do you want? This is monthly. So you see, per month, per area. So you can get expired. This is what we're doing. We're getting expired data, right? But you could also at any time go in and do FSBOs, right? 25. They're actually much cheaper for sale by owners, right? There's a whole script for that. You can call FSBOs. You can do skip tracing. You can do pre-foreclosure, for rent by owner, FRBOs, and neighborhood search, which is like the geo. This is the circle prospecting. In this case, you want the $50 expired data, okay? And you can stop right there. You can manually type it into your phone, each number, and you can manually use your phone. Nothing against that, right? If you want to save a little bit of money, but you still want to do this, you can stop here. They're going to give you an upsell option of this dialer thing, right? This dialer. So you have a single line and the triple line. All right. So you, again, this is optional. You don't need to do this, but it will tremendously save time and make this much easier for you to do it. All right. So should you pay extra for the dialer? It's not a must. Again, it's your choice. You must pay for the data. Otherwise, you won't have the data. So that's $50. If you want to spend the additional 100, I highly recommend it. I would do it. My team does it, right? When we call, we have a dialer, right? It will allow you to dial these leads right from this app. You click the button, it queues it up into the dialer, right? If you ever use the dialer or not. And with one single click of a button, you could just run through. That's how people dial, 300 a day. You can't dial 300 with your phone, right? Again, I don't care. It's up to you. I mean, I do care. I want you to get success, but if you don't want to do the dialer, don't do the dialer. That's up to you. But just know that it will just with one click of a button, you can do this. They want to offer even faster. So a triple line dialer would mean they're calling 3 people at once at the same time. They're all queued up at the same time. Whoever picks up first gets connected to you. The other 2 are put on hold or they're called back later. So triple line is even faster. You definitely don't need the triple line, but single line, I want you to consider if you're doing this. Okay, it's 150 for you to invest into the system to potentially fill your whole pipeline. This is this is very affordable in my opinion. Okay, so again, I don't work for them. I don't get anything from that sale, so I'm just providing you the information. Then if you do this and you decide to call from your computer, which is ideal by pressing that button, using their dialer on desktop or laptop, right? Not from your phone. You may need some kind of headset that connects. Okay. Ideally with a wire and a USB, that way it doesn't run out of batteries and the connection's good, right? Or like if you have a solid Bluetooth, some kind of something, like I have these Sony's, they're pretty sturdy. They have a mic, they're Bluetooth, and they have like a 4-hour battery life. I would use something like this, right? I wouldn't use Apple AirPods, which I also have. They run out of in an hour and a half. They'll run out of battery, right? And they crackle a little bit. So if you want to pick up a headset, before this, you have 8 days. You can get one on Amazon. Look at this, 19.89. That's Canadian dollars. So that's like $17 US. Go for the cheapest one, whatever, or other options. Get a headset. That way you are, if you do this for 2 weeks, you will have a set year. I'm telling you, like you will be good for the rest of 2024. Does that make sense? So again, all of these things are optional. The data you have to, if you want to access it, you have to buy it. The dialer will make your life easier, keep you sane for longer, and the headset will definitely, free up your hands. You don't want to hold your phone, and that will make you able to dial right from the phone. The fastest way not to guarantee success, right, is to start all of this on January 1st. Okay, to sit down hungover on January 1st with a headache, with a pounding headache, and Tylenol or Advil liquid gels on the table and water, and be like, okay, well, let me take a look at this now. What was this? What was that crazy bald guy telling me to do? Because you want to guarantee your success, you want to set this up a week before. Okay, keep in mind the Mojo system, it takes a few business days for them to connect to your MLS. You have to put in your MLS, connect to it. It may take a few business days to do it, to set it up, right? So take into account the 25th, 26th is off, right? So because January 1st is off as well, but not for you. If you want to be successful, you want to be there 8 a.m. ready, 9 a.m. calling, dialing, right? If you need to buy a headset, you want to figure all of this out this week and next week. That way you are set for January 1st. Does this make sense? Any questions? I'm going to pause for a sec for any questions. So somebody's asking, excellent question. Can this be set up for 2 MLS systems? Yes, this can be set up for 2 MLS systems because they treat every different area, right, as you know, as a different MLS, and they will charge you per MLS. So the way they charge is, so for example, you want Atlanta, that specific MLS, that's $50. If you want also want the MLS nearby Atlanta, let's just say that's another 50 on top. So you can stack as many MLSs or areas as you want, but you have to pay for each one $50 additional. Okay, not per zip code, because the MLS can have several zip codes, right? So that's included in the MLS. But if it's a whole different MLS, a whole different area, then you can, and you have to pay for it individually. So Atlanta has two MLS systems. That's great. That's good to know. So one may be enough for you, but if you want to be certain, for example, if you have a big team doing it, perhaps it's good to, you can still get one Mojo account, one dialer, and get two MLS systems and split the cost between your team. Okay, totally doable. All right. So you do have to. Now, I don't know one thing specifically, and this is something you'll find out when you're doing this. So I believe Vulcan 7, if you want the other MLS, you have to be registered in that MLS. Okay. You can't just get a random MLS in Chicago if you're not a part of that MLS. I don't think Mojo does this, but I'm not sure. But as long as you're a member in it, then you can definitely do this if you pay extra. They would love you to do this, of course, right? Because that means they get more revenue, right? But you can definitely stack it. So Mona, that's, and Niala, yeah. I hope that answers your question. Anything else before we move into how to actually talk to these leads and what to say? So again, the first step was finding them, right? Finding them online. And I told you the best way, and pretty much the only way to do this at scale, is to do this through a third party like Mojo, which is pretty affordable, right? Think about how much you have to pay for lead generation if you're doing, like, if you're buying Zillow leads. You're going to be paying like 300 per lead, right? This is 150 with a dialer all in for like unlimited use for the month, right? Which you really need 2 weeks. We talked about calling expireds, right? And how to do this with the dialer. So now let's talk about what should you actually say when you call them? What should I actually say? Because a lot of people trip up on that, right? So we got the tech covered. We got the actual kind of that part covered, right? The software, the headset, which I recommend. And what should you actually say when you call these leads? All right. So just follow, pretty much you can follow a script. Everything has a script, right? Everybody has a script. There's a lot of scripts out there. So I'll share with you some scripts, kind of the two scripts that I recommend. Somebody asked, can they get a script at the end of it? Since you asked so nicely. And if you stay till the end, I'll actually give you that script in a Google Doc so you can just get it and follow it. All right, just make your own copy, go to file, make a copy so that way you can edit it. Otherwise you can't. All right, so I'm not going to cover the script step by step in the slides, okay? But I am gonna just post some parts of it. So some good questions to ask. So when you're calling them and they pick up the phone, right? As soon as you say I'm an agent, they're going to be like, oh, okay. There's a chance they can hang up. There's a chance that they can, scold you for something you didn't do. I don't know why, but that happens, right? But as soon as you identify that you're an agent, you can be like, I just have a quick question or something to get in the door, right? So I love this. I really like this approach, right? Are you still accepting offers on your home, right? That's a great icebreaker, okay? Because a part of them is going to be like, oh my God, this person has an offer. Does this person have an offer for me? Right? Like that doesn't, right? That just gets them off guard. Are you still accepting offers on your home? Right? Because you may be a buyer's agent calling them with an offer, right? Or you can say, hey, is this home still available for sale? Right? So this is probably one of the two ones that like you want to go with, right? In the beginning. And then, you ask them for a little bit of time. And then you just go through the script and some of the things you can ask them. For example, when the previous agent was updating you, what did they say was keeping the home from selling? What did they say? What did the agent say? Right? Because you want to see how, like, if they think the fault was with the agent, right? And you can the stuff you'll hear ranges from, oh, the agent never updated me, or a specific issue, or the price was too high, or something, right? And then you can ask them, what do you, Mr. Seller or Miss Seller, what do you feel they should have done differently? Okay, in your opinion, what do you think kept the home from selling? So this changes it from right, because what did the agent say was the reason the home didn't sell? And here's what do you, Mr. Seller, think that kept the home from selling? Just be prepared. They're going to say it was the agent's fault, right? Oh, the agent was bad, right? When in reality, it could have been the demands were too high or the reality. So take this with a grain of salt, but at least you're making them heard, right? You're making them feel like you're here, you're listening to them. And then if they tell you, oh, the agent, I don't know, was late. Every appointment they were late. Don't be late. Learn from them is like, or if they tell you, hey, the agent wasn't aggressive enough, be more aggressive, at least in your like, when you're pitching that. Like you can learn, like take notes from what they say and don't do the thing that they said that failed, right? Another thing you can say, ask them, I'm not sure if this still makes sense or not, but if you did get an offer with the price and terms you're looking for, is it too late? You want them to say something like, oh, no, 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 I want that offer. I want to move, right? I want to, right? You want to also, I didn't put this, but ask them their motivation for selling, right? Why do they want, like, if you can dig a little bit deeper into their motivation, for example, oh, we just had a fourth child. The current home's not big enough, right? That motivation alone, you could use that later when trying to close them and be like, well, John, you said, from what it sounds like, you need to upsize because you just had a fourth kid. I could help you do that. So you could use that, right? Their motivation, not against them, but to reiterate why you should get the job, right? Something like if your property had sold, where were you planning to go next? And then, hey, that's a good time. Well, maybe not yet, but at some point to find out, do they have a buyer's agent? And probably they don't. So you could like the sell. It's just like it's amazing if you could double end and get them to to sell with you and then to buy the next property because they got to go somewhere, right? Remember, how does it go? Every seller is a buyer, but not every buyer is a seller. So every seller is a buyer because they got to go somewhere, unless they're moving countries, right? But not every buyer, first-time home buyers, are coming from a lease, they're coming from rent. So just use that to your advantage. Does that make sense? So these are some good questions to ask. Okay. Um, Now, step three, again, I'll share the script with you after, so don't worry. Step three is to actually schedule that in-person listing appointment, right? So that's important. In person, right? In-person listing appointment. So, because at this point you're on the phone with them, right? You're calling them, you're cold calling them. You got their number from the software. You put it in the dialer. They picked up. You're trying to get them. So it's like step by step, right? You got to sell them on having that conversation with you to give you that time. Then you got to sell. The next selling point is to get them to invite you to show up for a listing presentation. And at that point, you got to sell them on why you should be the agent, the listing agent for them, right? So, after the phone call, how do you schedule the in-person listing appointment? So you want to close them on the call, right? With the intent of showing up at their house, right? So one way to do so, you always got to think of in terms of sales. Everything's a sale, everything's a negotiation in life, right? Putting your kids to bed is a sale. Getting your spouse to do something is a sale. It's a negotiation. So is this, right? It's just not monetary, right? So the way you can close them is something like this. This is from the script as well. Listen, it's totally up to you, but if you want, I'd be happy to stop by one day this week. It's not one day ever. It's one day this week. When I'm there, I can show you a completely new strategy that I'm using with my clients right now. This is great, right? Because you want to set yourself apart from the agent that failed. Okay, a completely new strategy. I'm sure you can come up with something original, right? From the tools in your tool belt, you can come up with something original. You know what failed, you know what they didn't like that the agent did, but so just don't do that and do something fresh and do something new, right? I'm using with my clients to sell homes just like yours, and then you can decide if potentially hiring me makes sense or not. And if not, it's totally fine. Is that something you'd be opposed to, right? I love this. Something you'd be opposed to, right? It's not because people love to say no. So instead of would you like this and they say no, you say, would you be opposed to that? And they say no. And you're like, great, awesome, let's go, right? It's a little, you get them to say no, but in a good way. So it's like, would you be opposed to that? No, I wouldn't be opposed to that, right? Does that make sense? Is that cool? Is that a cool little closing line? Right? Would you be opposed to, if I showed up with a completely new strategy and walked you through it? All right. And then you can say something like, okay, because let's face it, the only way you'd even consider hiring me, and I'm not saying you should, right, is if you felt 100% confident that I could sell your home for the price you wanted or more. Am I right? Okay. Um, and then you just keep going. Okay, well, I'm looking at, but you want to speed it up. So it's not, you want to take it from, would you ever consider, right, to this week to, all right, well, I'm looking at my calendar. I could actually do today because you want to be that as soon as possible. Let's not kid ourselves. The longer you take to show up, right, the more chances are somebody else will show up before you, which is fine, but the more chances are that somebody else will get them to sign that agreement. And when they do, you're out, right? So you want to be, it's a fine balance in sales always in negotiation between being pushy and aggressive, overly pushy and aggressive, and being just aggressive enough to get what you need and what they need as well, which is to sell their home, right? You're at the end of the day, you're helping them, but you have to sometimes prod them a little bit, right? So looking at my calendar, I don't even know if I can, right? Assertive, yes. But if I could move some client meetings today for tonight, I could make it work. What do you think? Right. And then usually you could say like what time works for you, right? And if they say no, of course you respect, okay, cool. Well, how about tomorrow? I'm free, blah, blah, blah. But I found also a great way to, so right, that's about today or tomorrow. Give them a choice. Okay, 4 p.m., 6 p.m. I would be like, I have a slot at noon. If you're calling in the morning, let's say it's 9 a.m., noonish, and a 6 p.m. That way you're giving them a choice between a morning and an evening. It's like a subtle psychological because you're like, what time do you have? And they'll be like, oh, I'm busy. I just don't have time. Call me again next week. But you're giving them a morning and an evening time. So, I mean, like chances are they got to be free during at least one of them, right? So you can say I have a slot at noon, I have a slot at 1 p.m., I have a lunch slot, and an evening slot today and tomorrow, or today, which would be better. Okay. And then you have to prep them for what actually happens, the next steps. Okay. So here's what I'll do when we hang up. Okay. I'll send you an email with a copy of my resume that will answer most of your questions that you probably have about me, including my marketing plan. Okay. So you want to send them that resume or whatever it is, CV or whatever you have that you use, right? That is like awesome about you and some kind of plan, marketing plan. Can you review that prior to our meeting? Okay. So you're asking them, can they review? So do me a favor, review that prior to our meeting. Okay. I would actually encourage you to do a CMA as well, comparative marketing analysis, right? A lot of sellers, they kind of, I mean, that's a bare minimum that they expect. Some of them think it's a bonus, right? Because, okay, so maybe their home wasn't priced properly, right? A comparative marketing analysis, you go, you see the comps in the area, right? You see what the house is sold. You could do this in a half hour, and then only if you're sure that this is going to go forward, right? If they said yes, right? You offer it anyways, but you do it if they say yes, right? So that's kind of you send that to them or you bring that to them and you get them to review. Okay. And if for any reason they can't, please reschedule, and I'll let you know, blah, blah, blah. Okay. So that is pretty much the script. So there's going to be some qualifying questions to ask them. And then you want to schedule that by closing them on the idea of you showing up and do it. And if they tell, and then there's the rebuttals. If they say, hey, you know what, now's not a good time. Well, you have to be ready for that. It's usually, I don't have time. I have to check with my spouse, blah, blah, blah. I mean, you have to be ready for those. I'm not going to cover that right now, but just expect that it's not going to be as smooth, but usually it is, right? Because they want to sell their home. You have to put it in their head. The faster we do this, sir or ma'am, the sooner I get over there, I see your home, the sooner we talk, the sooner I can help you move your home, to sell your home and to move your family, right? That has to be ingrained. All right. And the last step, any questions about the script real quick? Any questions? No questions. Is this helpful? Would you be opposed to putting a thumbs up in the chat? I'm using my own psychology on you guys. Thank you. Very helpful. Thank you, Nancy. Thank you, Kimberly. All right. Mona, thank you. Dry helpful. Hopefully it's not dry. Hopefully it's very helpful. Um, okay. So and the last step. So we talked about how to find them online, how to call them, how to schedule your in-person appointment, right? And then what to do at the actual appointment when you show up. Okay. Now this varies greatly by whatever you were taught in realtor class, whatever your team leader taught you. So everybody has their own approaches, right? I'm not gonna cover like in depth of okay, minute 5 you say this, okay, obviously not. Just gonna cover some basic general stuff. So dress sharp, obviously dress sharp. Realtors, if in doubt, watch Selling Sunset, right? Just check what Chriselle is wearing in that episode and just go with that, or Jason or Brett, right? Or if you're a $1 million listing person, then it's the Joshes, right? Dress sharp, arrive early. You don't want to be late, obviously. Bring a trust package. Bring your trust package. Now, this is an interesting one. You want to bring something, like some kind of folder. You want to bring some kind of something you could leave with them, some kind of pamphlet. I mean, pamphlet with your name, with your email, phone number. I have these actually. So this is off topic, but this is another company that provides realtors with these kind of small books that usually they would have like your face on it, but if you see, it's how to sell homes for top dollar. It's super skinny, but at the end it has mine at the back, sorry, not the end, has my information, my name at the bottom, right? My email, my phone number. Usually my would have your picture, so if you have something like this, so you could leave with them, right? That way they're, having coffee the next day, it's on the coffee table. That's great, right? If you could print out the CMA, the comparative marketing analysis, with a little, like, I don't know, pie chart with something colorful and leave with them, a little brochure, a little something that, with your face. So that's what I mean by trust package. Okay. So something you could leave just in case you don't get it, you're on top of their mind, right? A person gave me a book on how to sell my home, and this is valuable info. This is the guy or girl to go with, right? I actually heard realtors say they got the listing because they left something that was kind of with their info on it. I would say optional as well. Bring a small gift, like a chocolate, like something like a little box of chocolates, if you want to, if you think like, if you're not, if you don't want to, that's totally fine. But I see a lot of realtors, they're like, okay, for Christmas I prepared all of these little gift baskets I'm going to send to like my past clients, strangers in the neighborhood, blah, blah, blah. Why not do that for the person that you're gonna potentially sell their home and make 10K from, right? Like, I mean, once you're already there, there's like, I would say 30% chance, 1 in 3 chance that you're going to actually get it, right? So why not just, you know, be like, oh, we're giving these out to our clients and I thought of you, and that's pretty cool. Or like, I don't know, some kind of paperweight or something. Treat it like a job interview. Just know that you're there. There's potentially going to be 5 other agents at different times coming in to contest for that listing, right? So it's not a gimme, it's not a guaranteed, it's a job interview, right? Um, so treat it as such. Show your best self, best foot forward, and definitely tell them why you think you're the best person for that job, right? Go over why you think the home didn't sell before. Show them. I don't know, guys, real quick in the chat. Do you guys usually bring a laptop or an iPad or a tablet to a showing? Sorry, to a listing presentation? Real quick. Okay. Nyla says yes. Ronnie says yes. Okay. Like an iPad or a laptop? So okay, James said no. So you have some kind of slideshow, right? So you're gonna walk them through that, right? The last part of that. So put in your slideshow or when you mention why you think the home didn't sell, and this is uh laptop, PowerPoint, suite, their idea. So when you ask them, hey, Mr. Seller, why do you think the home didn't sell? And they tell me, oh, because blah, blah, blah. You know, incorporate their own ideas into that, because to show them, like, people love to get their own ideas back to them, right? That feedback. Why the home didn't sell, your unique strategy, right? How you're gonna get that home sold, right? Um, I'm not saying lie to them and tell them you're gonna like spend thousands of dollars if you're not going to, but you, of course, you want to show them that you're willing to go above and beyond, and what you're gonna do, and you know, you're gonna stage the, are you gonna stage a home? You're gonna put, you know, maybe staging is included. I'm not saying you have to. I'm just saying you can, right? Whatever it is that that's a great thing I remembered. Agents talk about, I heard this concept of the irresistible offer. Okay, what is that irresistible offer? Had you presented it to the potential seller, that they would be unable to say no to, right? So, for example, free staging, free pictures. Put together a little list of that irresistible offer, right? That you think would just blow them away, right? Maybe you'll hire, I'm just spitballing, you'll hire a crew to paint their baseboards, or I don't know, but you will help them. Cool, Kevin, take care. So what is it that you can do then? Present your comparative market analysis and have a section of why you'd be the right person for the job. Okay, why you'd be the right person for the job. All right. So some good questions to ask the seller in person. Okay, we're almost wrapping up, guys, so no worries. This is the last part. Some good questions to ask. Why do they think their home is special? Okay, so this is not on the phone. This is at the listing presentation, right? What do they think would be the best way to market and sell their home? I mean, it's your job, but maybe they have some ideas. Who would be the ideal buyer, right? What was their experience like working with a previous listing agent? What is important about the agent, the qualities of the agent that had they hired one, right? So this is kind of, you're qualifying yourself, you know, a little bit. How do you know if you find the right agent, right? And if you're extra confident on that day, why do you think your home would be the ideal listing for me to take on, right? There's a little bit advanced. You're kind of flipping the script. You're not just qualifying, oh, like I want to do it. I want to do it. You're like, why should I spend my time and resources on this? You know what I mean? Again, advanced Jedi tactic. And then go ahead and ask for the sale, right? So there's probably two scenarios that happen, right? The first one is you're one of several agents that are scheduled to come in. Okay, that's probably the more common one. Okay, and if you know that, and you know that because they told you that, right? Then you can say something like, I appreciate your time. I know you're interviewing other agents, but I feel I had a really good connection with you and the home, and I think I'm the right man or woman for the job. Okay. Looking forward to hearing from you and helping you get your home sold right away. Okay. So you're like, you can't really push them, be like, you want to sign something, right? If you know there's other people coming, right? If not, if you're the only one, then you can say something like, so John, everything sounds great. I'm feeling very confident about getting your home sold ASAP, right? So to get the ball rolling, would you be opposed, again, would you be opposed to us signing the listing contract or listing agreement so I can get started on selling your home, right? And any logical person would be like, no, I'm not opposed. Of course, I want to sell my home. I want to get started, okay? So that is how you ask for the sale. In the best case scenario, where it's nobody else going for that, right? And second best case scenario is if you have to leave, and there's a few more people coming, right? If you done everything right, if you showed up on time, if you presented yourself the best, if you had a great listing presentation, if you covered why they should hire you, if you had something to leave them with, a brochure, a little book, a little something, if you maybe brought a small chocolate, all of these things add up in your favor, right? So when you do ask for the sale, then you get it. Okay. All right. So now, before we end, okay, I want to make you my special offer that hopefully it would be hard to say no for you too. So would you be opposed to me taking 5 minutes to go through something special that I have to make all of this experience easier for you. Would you be opposed to that? Jessica, I'm not going to email the slides. I'm going to share the slides here in the chat if you stick with me to the end. That is the ethical bribe that I'm proposing. All right. Awesome. So I think I have the green light to go ahead. So my special offer for you now, guys, I hold nothing back, as you can see. I don't believe in gatekeeping. I gave you all the information. There's nothing stopping you right now at this point to go and execute this at this point, right? These 4 steps: finding the listings, calling them, scheduling, and showing up. There's nothing stopping you. Okay. I told you the software, I told you how to do it, I told you how much it is, told you how to call them. I'm going to give you the script so you can, at this point, you are welcome. You have all the info and all the resources to do this and to execute. And I wish you the best of luck if you want to do this. If you want this done for you, then I want to offer you, to save your time, right? Let my team, I have a team of callers that do this all day, full time, from the morning, from 9 to 6 p.m. They pick up the phone and they make 300 dials. They have headsets. They work from the computer, right? I pay them well. They're taken care of, and they're happy to call your leads for you. Okay, this is what I do for my regular paid ads clients. My team calls their leads, qualifies them. Okay, so if you would like to save your time, okay, and so here's the pros: experienced ISA callers. ISA means internal sales agent. So it's like an agent that's trained. These guys are trained. Okay, full time. They are well versed in buyer scripts, seller scripts, FSBOs, expired. They take rejection like nothing. Okay, if rejection for you is tough, if getting on the call with a person is daunting like it is, I don't like it personally, but these guys, it rolls off them like nothing. They just keep going and going and going. If that's something that you think would make this process easier for you, which I think it would, right? Then I want to offer you this. So if you want to save 4 to 8 hours of your time to succeed with this, you need to dedicate your time like Gustavo did, 4 hours on January 1st. It worked. He got the listings, but he spent that time. If you want somebody else to do it, we have the team to do it. If you want to avoid getting on the phone with calling grumpy sellers, because some of them are grumpy because they failed, an agent let them down, right? Then my team can do this for you. We'll sift through dozens, probably hundreds, of expired leads for you. We'll call each one of them in your area, okay, in your MLS. And then we'll only get the qualified ones, okay? So that's the main important thing. It's got to be qualified, right? We'll take them through the script, and then we'll give you one of 2 things, okay? We'll either call you with a live transfer, okay? A live transfer works very easily. We call the lead, we qualify them, we tell them, hey, we have an agent ready on standby, local agent, Ronnie. She's awesome. Are you ready to speak with them? They say yes. We patch you, connect the call. The ISA drops off. The ball's in your hands. You follow the script, you close them. You show up and you get the listing. Okay. If they say, no, sorry, I don't have the time, then we say, okay, well, we have time later on in the day. We have a time tomorrow, and we book a phone appointment. So it's either a live transfer or a phone appointment. Okay. So I can offer you a full team that can do this for you full time for these 2 weeks. Okay. I'm going to put everything else on hold that I have. The clients that are running ads, they're going to keep running. We're just going to minimize that. And we're going to put all of the team's calling efforts on these expired leads. Okay. Does this work? As you saw earlier, yes, it does. Okay. It absolutely works. You can do this yourself, or you can do this. We can do this for you. Okay. Yeah. So we have the testimonials, we have the track records, and we have the personnel to do this. So if this sounds like something that would benefit you and you want to learn more about it and how you can get started, the pricing, the schedule, etc., the thing that I encourage you to do is go to this website, sixfigureleadsystem.com/book. I'm going to drop it right now in the chat. Okay. So you don't have to stress out. I'm going to drop it in the chat. And all you're going to do is you're going to book a call. There's only 2 days available. I'm keeping only 2 days for this, today and tomorrow. Okay. Now, if you're on Ronnie's team, you don't have to book a call because we have, I know you guys are a big group in Atlanta. We have a special slot for you for 1 p.m. tomorrow Eastern time that I'm going to meet with you and Ronnie, or me and Ronnie specifically on your behalf. So you guys, and we're going to hash this out and we're going to talk about it. So you don't have to book. Okay. If you're not on Ronnie's team and you're not in the Atlanta area, I just dropped a link in the chat where you can go ahead and access this calendar. It's in the chat. Okay, if you're trying to click on this, you can't. Okay, because this is on my end. This is not on your end. So go ahead to sixfigureleadsystem.com/book. The slots are gonna fill up fast. I already have a 3 o'clock today. Okay, so that's already taken. So whatever slots are available, go ahead and take that. We'll do a quick Zoom call, you and I, one-on-one, and we'll go through your questions, we'll go through your concerns, and we'll go through how we can start implementing this for you. Okay, cool. So that's what's waiting once you click on the link. I'm going to go through some real quick Q&A points, right, that people usually ask. Meanwhile, you guys, I trust, are going to this link and booking a call. If you want this done for you, my team can do this for you. All right. So what are expired listings? All right. So expired listings are people that could not sell their home, that tried to with an agent, they could not sell their home, and they still want to sell their home. If you have any questions, drop it in the chat. I'm going to get to that right after this Q&A. All right. What is the Super Bowl of expireds? What is the Super Bowl of expireds? So the Super Bowl of expireds are the 2 weeks between January 1st and January 15th when there's a massive, massive influx of these expired leads. All right, how can I find expired listings? Great question. You can find expired listings by going to these third-party softwares like Vulcan 7, RedX, and Mojo, out of which I recommend Mojo, okay? What software do you recommend? So like I said, Mojo, I think, is the most affordable one, and you can just get started with that. So go ahead, sixfigureleadsystem.com/book, and we'll have that chat with you if you want us to do this for you, or if you'd like to me to do your ads for you and to generate kind of ongoing the evergreen stuff, which is like we run an ad, right? And you're generating leads every day. You're getting 2, 3, 4 leads. We're following up with that lead. If you'd like that, you can also book a call and speak with me. But specifically, if you want to talk about expireds and how my team can do this for you and call them, go ahead and go to this link. I'm going to drop it again in the chat. Okay. So Keisha says, thanks. You're welcome, Keisha. Samantha, you're welcome. Do the calls get entered into your CRM that you mentioned earlier? So no, these calls do not get entered the CRM. We keep that into the in the Mojo specific CRM that they offer. Okay, so we don't bring them into our own CRM. But once they become your listing lead, and once you get to that appointment and you sign, that's your listing, right? Okay, should I get the optional dialer? Heck yeah, you can, right? It's optional. I recommend it because it will make your life easier. You can just call and click with one click from your desktop. All right. How many listings am I going to get? Like I said, the record was 19 listing appointments, not listings, 19 listings appointments in a single day by Gustavo by calling for 4 hours. Okay. Probably half to a third of them will result in actual listings. So just to be safe, I think you should be able to get 3 to 5 listings during this time. Okay. 3 to 5 listings during this time. Okay. When should I start preparing? You should start preparing like today and tomorrow. Okay. Today and tomorrow. Get the software, get the dialer, connect it to your MLS, and then, make sure it's working, make sure your audio is good, make sure that everything is set up correctly, properly. And like I said, it takes a few days to sync with your MLS. That way, in January 1st, you are ready to execute. You're not just setting this up. All right. So I dropped the link again. Go ahead. Okay. Ronnie says, tell the agents that are on my team to reach out to her. So go ahead, reach out to Ronnie if they want to join the 1 p.m. call tomorrow. Okay. Awesome. I will try to do like a group package for you guys. That way it's cheaper for you. And that way more of you can jump in and then we could do this for the whole team. Right. Um, okay. So start preparing like this week and next week. Can I do this myself? You definitely can do this yourself. All right. I encourage you to do this yourself. But if you're like me and you believe you can do other things with your time than just pick up and call people, right? And you want to pay a little bit to get somebody else to do this for you, a team that does this professionally, full time, all day, every day, then I'm here. My team is available and I can do this for you. I guarantee you it will be cheaper than whatever you think your per hour is worth. So, for example, if you value your time at, I don't know, $30 an hour, let's just say, right? And you're spending X amount of hours per week doing this, and you multiply that by the per hour, I guarantee you that what my cost or my price that I will offer to you is cheaper than that what it would cost you to do this hour wise, if that makes sense. Okay. And how do I get started? So you go to sixfigureleadsystem.com/book. All right. And you get started. You book a call. It's free. I do not charge you for this call. All right. You go ahead and book that call. So let me take a look at the website. Oh, wow. We have some slots snatched up. Okay. So 3 o'clock is gone. 3:30 is gone. 4 is gone. We have 4:30 available, 5 available, 5:30. Okay. And then tomorrow. So guys, don't sleep on this. We have some slots available tomorrow as well. Some are taken. Awesome. Tomorrow I have a cutoff at 4 o'clock, 4:30. That's the last slot. So go ahead and do that. Okay, I'm gonna stop sharing so you can. Okay, any last minute questions before we hop off? While you got me here. This is going to be huge, guys. The next 2 weeks, the first 2 weeks of January are going to be a massive opportunity, right? Massive opportunity. There's going to be like 100 to 300 expired listings coming on the market every single day in the major MLSs, right? And you just got to scoop it up, just fishing like the analogy is salmon spawning season. And those that fish, I don't fish myself, but I have friends that do. It's literally during that. It's like so much salmon that you could scoop them out with the little net. You don't even have to have a rod. That's how it's going to be for the 2 weeks, the first 2 weeks of January for expired listing. You could set yourself up for the entire year. For the entire year, you could fill your pipeline just by hustling a little bit, working hard for these 2 weeks, or having an experienced team do it for you. All right, like I said, you could totally do it yourself. Or if you know you're going to have other things to do, or if you want professionals to do it for you, my team will do it for you, right? That's why I have a team. That's why I have everybody. Mona says, looking forward how to see how this works next year. And says, thank you. You are welcome. Was this helpful, guys? Was this awesome? I hope you learned. Like I said, I hold nothing back. I don't get paid for this presentation. I want to provide value. I want to provide info and knowledge. If you want me to do this for you, let's chat. If you don't, but you're interested in paid ads, let's chat as well. I can literally so for my paid ads people, they're spending $10 a day on ads and they're getting 100 leads a month. 100 leads a month. Okay. With a $10 a day ad spend. How much money are you wasting on brochures, printing, signage, postage, mailers? How much of your time are you spending on cold calling, door knocking? That the $10 a day. Are you getting 3 leads a day? Well, I can get you 3 leads a day, right? That's 90, 100 leads a month. We can follow up with your leads. We can qualify your leads. You can have qualified, important conversations. So just book a call. Go ahead. And thank you, everybody. Thank you for joining. So awesome. Nancy, you're welcome. You will get this info from Ronnie's team as well. Paid ads. I would love to work with you guys, of course. Yeah, Mary, you are welcome. For those that booked, I look forward to seeing you. I think my first one is at 3 p.m. So I'm gonna hop off now, and then I'm gonna take a little break, and then I'll see the first person at 3 p.m. Eastern time. Please show up if you booked. Don't be a no-show. Hate no-shows, just like everybody does, right? Okay, awesome. God bless everybody. Have a great Christmas. Have a wonderful new year. May 2024 bless you with some incredible results in your business. I hope you don't quit. I hope just bless you all with like, let's kill it. 2024, let's just have an awesome year, right? Let's do it. But don't sleep on this. Don't sleep on the expireds. Okay. Take care, guys. Thank you again for coming and see you later. Keep in touch on Facebook, all right? Bye bye.